Chapter 3. The rest of the animals, meanwhile, gaped with astonishment at the escaping pigs and dogs. Finally, they all thought, a chance of freedom, slavery no more. This was because none of them had ever encountered Jones or their rebellion, since Clover and Benjamin, the last survivors of the human times, had now passed away. After a glorious hour of running wild, full of the excitement of being free, Alka and Toppus brought the animals together. After all, Toppus said shyly, free does not mean wild or mad. Then the animals all sat and tried to decide what to do. We can't stay here, Alka protested. Clover clearly said escape, which means leave. I have no wish to stay in a place where memories so bad are left. We have been killed, tortured, and used as slaves here. How can we ever be happy and free in a place like this? This was a long speech for Alka, who normally said very little, and received applause. Then Toppus stood up from his lying position on the grass. I disagree, he said quietly, avoiding Alka's eyes. We have no place to go. The place that Clover told us about was a myth. Here we have food, a farm, our stores, a place to live. We are used to this farm. It is ours, and we shall live in it. We shall grow in it. So what if we were once tortured in this? We will still have a fresh start here. How can we leave a place like this with so many possibilities? Then the animals began to waver. They could not decide between the two siblings. Who was right? A loud chatter broke out, all discussing what to do next. Now, quieten down, comrades. It appears that we have a vote to make, Alka said, perhaps a little stiffly. Xema, a goat smaller than the rest, stood up. Everyone's eyes averted to him. I believe, he said in a gruff voice, that the time has come to move onwards. After all, we cannot spend all our lives on this farm and this farm alone. At these short words, Alka glanced slyly at her brother. Toppus knew as well as she did that Xema was a great speaker and could easily persuade everyone else if he wanted to. But Toppus didn't look discouraged. Instead, he looked a little amused. Very well, a vote it shall be then. All in favour of moving on to another place, with no idea where we are going, no food, shelter, and leaving our beloved farm that we have toiled so hard on behind? He smirked. Alka's eyes narrowed. Xema stood up despite Toppus's words, then another animal, and another. About half of the animals stood up, and some were swaying between sitting and standing. Toppus stayed quiet for a moment. 1, 4, 17, 20, 32, 10, 40, 22. You have 22 animals on your side, Alka, and I have 1, 4, 20, 76. Wait, called Alka. Are you sure that's... Stop interrupting me, Alka. 76, 54, 20. No, that's not Be quiet. 28, 90. There you go. 90's bigger than... Toppus, your counting is wrong, Alka shouted. There was a silence in the yard. Toppus bowed his head sadly. You count then, he said in a hurt voice. Alka debated whether to comfort her brother or count the animals standing. 1, 2, 3, 4, she began, But Topaz interrupted her. You got it wrong, he said, mimicking her voice. It's 1 then 4. I know that for sure. Alka shook her head. We've had quite a day, she said quietly. Perhaps we decide tomorrow. And Alka left her brother and the rest of the animals, her golden mane swishing slightly behind her. A few animals followed, but to all of them it felt that something had changed since their victory to an extent. The animals all went to their stalls, leaving only Topaz behind. He was racking his brains, trying to come up with a way to convince the animal to stay. If they didn't, they would starve and die. He didn't want that to happen to his fellow animals. Why would they want to leave? All the nonsense about a fresh start. They could have it here, surely. What was the point of listening to Clover? She was old. She thought that they could never outwit or destroy the pigs, their enemy, and yet they had. What was the point of escaping from their farm now? They had all they needed here: food, freedom, shelter. It was the right thing to stay here. Topaz just needed a way to prove it. Chapter 4. A few weeks passed. The voting had not yet been cast, but every day Topaz, Alka, or one of the other animals gave a speech of why they should or shouldn't leave the manor farm. Eventually, the animals decided that they had to vote. It was said the reason it kept being put off was because the siblings loved each other, and if they were on separate sides, they couldn't bear to argue or be against each other. But the decision had to be made sooner or later. And the animals, especially the ones who sided with Alka, desperately wanted the voting to happen. It was a dark day, and the wind howled into everyone's ears. Okay, Alka began uncertainly, hating how every animal's eyes turned to her. Well, a short speech then? She suggested, but added, or perhaps not, when she saw their looks. We've been having speeches for weeks, shouted Jala. Alka nodded weakly. Okay then, Topaz said, taking over for his sister. Those in favour of staying where we are, in comfortable, nice manor farm, with food and luxury. We can rename it, edit all our rules and working hours, and basically change it until it is Manor Farm no longer. Until all our memories of the old and horrid days here, with the pig Napoleon in charge, are gone. Quite a lot of animals stood up after this short speech. Jula was the first to do so, saying in his booming voice, Of course! How can we go on a journey to who knows where, with no accompaniment, food, or shelter whatsoever? I agree with Topaz fully, and suggest you animals do the same. Xema shook his head disbelievingly. Magala, a highly regarded peacock, stood up as well. Slowly, more and more of the crowds raised to their feet, leaving Topaz smug. Count them, then, he said, smirking. Hesitantly, Alka began counting the animals standing. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 12, 13, she began, when Xema interrupted her. It's 11 after 10, he screeched. Alka frowned. You count then, she said angrily, feeling that after all her counting was better than Topaz's. All right, the old goat said calmly. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Once he got to 18, he slowed down considerably. 19, 20, 21. Yes, 21 animals want to stay here at Manor Farm, he panted. Topaz smiled Alka slumped. None of them knew how many animals the farm actually had, but they were all in silent agreement that Toppers had won. They were going to stay at Manor Farm forever. And, Xema continued, the animals for leaving Manor Farm, please stand, he said difficultly. 1, 2, 3, 4. Xema droned. In a couple of seconds, 20, yes, 20 animals, I think. Alka was in despair. She didn't need to know how to count, to know that she had lost by one only. Toppers had 21. Then a miraculous idea came to her. Wait, she said. I didn't vote. I vote to go on. To wherever Clover promised us all those weeks ago, Alka neighed triumphantly. 21, Xema finished. Then Alka slowly realized she hadn't won. They had tied.